This is my 7th season. I started playing when we fell on more of a yearly basis, so I've been playing for 7 years. It's American football, 5-on-5, full contact on asphalt. That's what I like to describe it, short, sweet, to the point. Everything from kickoffs to field goals are made on a unicycle.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's probably the most unique sport that exists.
And I'm really glad that it's nice and sunny and everything too. And yeah, it's a blast.
It's a lot of camaraderie. It's a lot of just fun people having a fun time on Sundays.
It's definitely a thing that's been growing into the thing that it's become today. We just kind of come together and, you know, we always come out and put on a good show.
On the field, it can get aggressive.
Diving for it, looks like he got the first to me.
You know, people can get angry, people can get heated, but as soon as they get off the field and as soon as a timeout's called or as soon as the play is over, like they sack someone really hard and they're instantly helping them up and hugging them.
You know, we'll all hug it out at the end of the game, regardless of win or loss.
Oh, in and out of his hands! Turnover and downs.
A simpler life.
You can swim or fish or just sit and chill all day long.
The Blanco River attracted Joe Terrio and his wife here 5 years ago.
We have 20 RV sites and 10 cabins and about a quarter of a mile of river frontage.
The same peace and tranquility that made J.T. Morgan and his wife retire here.
We looked all over the hill country.
But where the water flows, worry follows. Development is pushing wastewater treatment plants all across central Texas to the limit, leaving communities to search for ways to dispose of wastewater.
The city of Blanco has applied for a permit to dump 1.6 million gallons of treated wastewater into the Blanco River per day.
Blanco is hardly alone. 2,583 wastewater treatment plants across the state have permission to dump treated wastewater into our waterways. 49,500 across the country.
It is a dirty little secret.
The EPA tells the defenders those permits, quote, will generally specify an acceptable level of pollutant, like fecal coliform, ammonia, and nitrates. Wastewater treatment plants cannot remove antibiotics or filter out household chemicals or other contaminants that flow into storm sewers. The big concern in Central Texas is that many rivers have rocky bottoms, and depending on the season, have low or no water flowing in them.
So the only thing flowing through it would be treated wastewater.
This permit should be very concerning to you.
Mike Clifford is with the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance. He's hired to help communities like Blanco fight these water changes.
This is the Blanco River. It recharges the Edwards Aquifer. It's a very important contributor to the Edwards Aquifer. And what goes into the Blanco River ends up in Barton Springs. It is treated, so it's clear. It doesn't look like, you know, raw sewage or anything like that, but it's very high in nutrients. Once those get into the water, they'll cause it to algae blooms. So basically, you get a river that turns from a very clear river into one that's covered with algae.
If that sounds familiar, it should.
This river was covered from side to side with algae this thick.
Families in Georgetown say it's already happening there.
It's discouraging.
LaJuan Toll and her neighbors complained to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality this past summer when algae took over the South San Gabriel River behind their home. The TCEQ cited the Liberty Hill Water Treatment Plant for 6 violations, and a new investigation is underway after residents recorded what appears to be some kind of chemical spill a few weeks ago.
It's really sad. I'm shocked that Texas allows it.
Growth presents all kinds of challenges.
I don't think the growth means we have to dump in our rivers. On its best day, it's more than gross, it's dangerous. And on its worst day, it's going to ruin this area that we love so much.
The decisions we make will impact generations to come. Real concerns about the very resource we all rely on.
Austin Police Detective Rolando Ramirez was still settling into a new job in homicide the morning of March 2nd. He was first up to take the lead on the city's next murder case.
Around 8 o'clock in the morning, I was notified of an explosion device that went off, and there was a victim that had was pronounced deceased.
By the time Detective Ramirez arrived at the scene of a house on Haverford Drive, officers had described a debris field, a victim with injuries that left no doubt it was a bomb.
The first thing I did, I asked everybody, has anybody worked a case like this?
But no one had. Detective Ramirez, who had spent the last few years of his career in child abuse, followed several leads the next 10 days. He tried to find out who killed Stephen Anthony Howes and why. They looked into whether he was a mistaken target after a police drug raid on the street, whether Howes himself was responsible. Then on the morning of March 12th, he got another call, 2 more bombings in one morning, including one that killed 17-year-old Draylon Mason.
And it was sort of like a personal hit because it's part of the community. It's a young child that had the rest of his life to live. So that was the worst feeling. And then realizing that the person or persons doing this did not care who the victim was.
In the 19 days when the serial bomber attacked Austin, Detective Ramirez helped coordinate hundreds of federal and local investigators. It is thought to be the largest manhunt ever in Austin.
And I was wondering why, the reason behind it, and what happened to him that made him decide to go and hurt people.
Detectives followed several dead-end leads. They used old-fashioned police work, going door to door to interview possible witnesses, and high-tech surveillance. On the night of March 20th, their work paid off. They traced the suspect to a parking lot in Round Rock. Over the next few hours, SWAT team members moved in, using a police maneuver to knock his truck off the I-35 frontage road. Ramirez showed up a short time later, the emotion of the past 3 weeks finally sinking in.
I was angry because he made us go through all of this, the community. He took the peace away from Austin, and it was senseless.
Over the past year, Detective Ramirez has tried to uncover everything he can, including why. But in the end, he has never found that answer.
We just want to make sure that when we close this case, it's closed completely and there's no questions out there from the public.
Detective Ramirez says he hopes to finally finish his work in coming weeks, closing the file on a case that will go down in Austin history. Tony Plahetsky, KVUE News.
It was a tiny house, but it was just our castle. We loved it. We loved it.
They say home is where the heart is.
It was sad. It's sad. We lost everything.
And that's why Lorna Hall's heart is breaking.
I can't even look at it. We don't sleep. It's hard. But we have to just, we're keeping each other positive.
She and her husband, Jerry, have lived here for almost 15 years, until the water washed through their home 5 months ago.
That's a long time. It seems like 5 years.
Now, standing in her home that's stripped down to the studs,
we have to be strong.
She finds some comfort. The SBA Office of Disaster Assistance set up disaster loan outreach centers in Llano and Burnett counties,
which are centers to provide direct access to those affected by the flooding to apply for federal funds.
Meaning businesses, nonprofits, renters, and even homeowners like the Halls can get some help and get some relief.
Yes. Yeah, huge relief.
Because for Lorna Hall, things are finally looking up.
We're going up. We're going up. We're not doing this again. We're not looking at this lake at eye level anymore.
In Kingsland, Molly Oak, KVUE News.